Hi everyone, Sudeepan here. So it's probably my first panel with Preetham and Shashank. So they've been in this industry for quite some long time, but we are fortunate enough to be sitting today with them. And security is one of the biggest concerns in Web3, usually due to two reasons, right? One is of course the regulations part of it. The entire industry is not regulated as compared to, like, say, Web2 being regulated by SEBI in India and the SEC in the US and all of that.
And the second thing is, in Web2 we had something which was very famous, which is called security through obscurity. So we used to hide our code so as to secure more. But I think here everything is much more open. But I think this Omnichain summit is something which has actually opened up a lot of doors to some new questions around security. So I would like to have a quick introduction of you guys first. And then we'll start off with a quick question on what the Omnichain ecosystem and the cross-chain ecosystem first.
Yeah, just to add on that, I think thanks for the nice intro, but we are not the biggest player in cybersecurity. There is so much things are going on, so much hacks and scams are going on, lots to do. About me, I'm co-founder of Audit. We are a blockchain security company started in 2018. That's what we do.
Hello everyone, I'm Shashank. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Spreadsheets. We are a tooling company. We are building cybersecurity tools for Web3. Regarding about my background, I've been into security for almost 12 years now. It started as a very long journey when I found a bug in Google in 2013, and I was listed in the SAP Hall of Fame. I spent almost 10 years in security working with companies like HackerOne, which is a crowdsourced, platform for Web2 companies. And my journey in Web3 started as a security engineer at Avalanche. I was the security engineer building the IDO tenants. And during that time, I figured out people need to build tools, automation tools in this industry. And that's why we started this company. Spreadsheets, where we are building celebrity scan, which automatically, you just have to input your smart contracts and they will file all the vulnerabilities in it and then give you suggestions and descriptions of the vulnerability, and at a click-off button, we can generate an audit report. And it's completely automated. Thank you.
Yeah, quickly, so I'll dive into the first question, which is all around this cross-chain thing. We have been facing some of the biggest attacks over there, including the wormhole bridge. Especially because a bridge is centralized in most of the cases. How are we actually, in terms of tools as well, and in terms of the manual audits, what sort of the extra procedures which we take care in case of, let's say, auditing the smart contracts which are related to bridges, because it's one of the biggest attack points at this moment.
A proper audit process is so much important, right? So in a company, like us, we work with many bridges, I think router also we work with, right? The strategy that we follow, and again, that every guys is following, right? How the bridge work, I'm trusting token on one chain, on the second chain it should be, minted, and there is there's multiple ways to it. Anyone is running, maybe the listeners, anyone doing the layers, this kind of stuff is doing. But the most important thing is there any cryptographic proofs out there? And is there any, we are verifying, is proper transfer token, things are happening. And again, talking about audit stuff, how we're making sure, these things are working on our two chains, right? And for this, multiple tools are available in the market. I think the most popular that we can do is maybe the invariant testing. Founder is there, it's a great tool to, run on these kind of vehicles. And the most important thing is formal verification, right? And those smart contracts is now formally verified, systematically verified. You can run on any chains and it's more secure.
So, it's when you talk about security of anything, the basic concept of when you go to a college to study, information security, one of the concept that is, the more there is an attack surface, the more there are endpoints, the more chances of vulnerabilities are there. And if we try to understand Omnichain, it is a complex, ecosystem, which is, how, if we could talk about how Omnichain works, is there are different kinds of blockchains and they are not interoperable. They cannot interact with each other. And that's where, the Omnichain comes into picture, which acts the bridge between, different chains who don't talk to each other and make them talk to each other. But But then again, the thing is to make Omnichains more secure, there are more chances of faulty areas because we are integrating with other things and we are dependent on multiple parties, the oracles, the validators, the users itself. So if we narrow down, it's like Omnichain itself, we talk about Omnichain itself, there are two categories, like in a very basic terms, if you see there are two categories of attack surface. One is the interoperable feature where, it's like how it is talking to other blockchains and making things happen. And the second is the smart contracts. As Sandeep rightly said, here are the smart contracts which interact with each other on not a very large attack surface, and still them, but mostly is how, it is interacting. And if we talk about security, again, it's more about, business logic. You're an auditor. What you do is you understand the entire logic, how the particular Omnichain is working, and how it is interacting with other chains, and then you try to cover these double spine attacks, DOS attacks, parameter validations. These are common vulnerabilities, Omnichain protocols.
Cool. I think pretty much that was a very good coverage of whatever is happening, especially on chain. And on top of that, I think there are a lot of other things other processes which we follow in security, which a lot of the crowd is especially not aware of. There are a lot of other things, penetration testing, red teaming, and a couple of other things which we do, both on the defensive part and the offensive part. People usually over here think only about smart contract audits. So what is your general viewpoint on that, and how are we actually looking towards these things when it comes to, let's say, credit shields and both quill audits? How are we employing these offensive methodologies along with the defensive strategies, which is all around audits?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting thing. In Web3, I think most of the guys is, once we launch a token and make money fast, right? And what they need, whenever you talk to anyone, they just need the audit report and they just want to go live and just make money, right? For them, audit report is just a certificate. They don't care about it, right? But we have a dashboard, there's multiple dashboard, not a dashboard. We actively track what kind of hacks and scams are available in this industry, right? So last year, according to data, around 350 hacks happened, and out of this was around 55% hacks were on the smart contract side. Still 45% hacks were again the web2 services, So you can see, right? Well, if you are towards security, you have to think of everything, the web2 part and the web3 part, not only smart contract audits just to make money, just to give the certificate, right? And talking about us, how we are doing it. So in quill audits, we are a mix of coding company and a service company where you do the Web2 pen testing also. We have the red teaming also, right? And we just launch our AI tools. It generates reports. You can share the report, and the main thing is you can create your it auto-fix your vulnerabilities, right? As a developer, you don't know how to auto-fix. AI is going to auto-fix your vulnerabilities. And what we can do, you talk about very, very interesting, we talk about on the smart contract audit. What we are doing on the platform, go on the platform, then go there, what you're trying to build, and then we'll do the audit. And next step is from the platform only you can choose, I need the red teaming, I need this thing, and that's very important. And so coming to dashboard, why you need it, right? And then the customer decide it's really required. It's not only smart contract audit. And again, for the platform only, you can choose the red teaming. Either you can go to any code for anything, but we have those guys are listed on the platform. We can choose them. So it's a kind of complete security. You are that not only AI based or any tooling. I can build, anyone can build. I think everyone is trying to build the tools. We can build 99% secure tools, but again the manual is very much required, right? And so as a company, that's how we're tapping from cybersecurity and work.
I have a bit lengthy answer for that, so bear with me. So how do you spend almost a decade in Web2 security? There is something what I learned was if you go to 2013 where so if you go to back 2011, I think when Google started this bug bounty program, and 2013 it got very popular, but it had its own demerit that bug bounties were expensive. If you go to Unveil, which is HackerOne for three companies, the critical vulnerabilities goes for $100K or maybe $1 million. The same issue was being faced by the companies who were not Google. They cannot afford for every critical vulnerability, they are not going to afford with $10,000 to $20,000. And then it was like, and of course, not everyone has as great engineers as Google who write, relatively better and more secure codes. So what about other companies? So the concept of, stack manual auditing came into picture where, companies started coming in and, they started doing like 5 smart people, doing manual audits, and that also worked. But then there was also a problem statement that most of these audits which were happening, a lot of bugs were common, and this is consuming expensive manual audit hours. So a lot of Web2 companies, like auditing companies, started writing automation like NextPart, Ekinetics, Birdsuite, Nessus. These are like great companies who are like now fully fledged product. They started writing automation tools to find out common vulnerabilities. So right now, if you see the Web2 ecosystem, how it works is almost like people have CI/CD tools integrated in their software development lifecycle itself. So that like reduces like 60-70% of the vulnerability. Of course, it's like automation will never replace manual audits. And then, it's like once you reduce like 60-70% of the vulnerabilities, then what you do is you go for a private audit on an internal audit. And that takes you like 98-99% of the security. And it has been a known fact that even biggest auditing companies do miss bugs. That's a genuine thing to happen. And that's where, for the 1% of the masterclass bugs, you started by pointing to for some very amazing edge cases. So this is something I saw in Web2 industry, and it's like I wanted to solve the first and second part of it. So that's why we built Solidity Scan, where we have 180 plus vulnerabilities right now and consistently scan. Or also integrate it. There's one more problem with manual audit is like manual audits are time framed. You go to a manual auditing firm, they said like we'll do it in 15 days. We get that worked out. But what is, it's like one of the modules, like for example, you're using OpenZeppelin for, a particular functionality, a smart contract, and that has a bug later on, like 5 days later. And that's something needs to be spotted and informed to the developer on an immediate point. And that's where the most like the automation tools come into picture, because the research team behind the people who are writing, like automation tools, they get to know what it is. They're constantly searching for these 0 days, and they build a detector for that. And the company gets alerted, and that's where continuous scanning. So it's not just a pre-audit; it's also a 0-day prevention mechanism. So that's what, as a company, what we are doing is like we allow like people who integrate through GitHub Actions. Every time they make a commit, there is a scan happens, and by the integration of Slack, you get to alert that there is a new vulnerability or not. And of course, we do manual audits as well, where like which is more in depth, where you private each and every vulnerability so that it's close to 100% security. So that's what we want.
Yeah, I think two most important points which we just heard about here is, of course, number one is the cost part of it, right? So manual audits usually have been very costly, not only in the Web2 ecosystem, but have been very costly in the Web3 ecosystem as well. How is, according to you guys have been working with so many teams in the DeFi protocols and all that. So DeFi composability in itself is constantly increasing, and at the same time, on the blockchain level as well, with especially a lot of things happening on the inter-blockchain communication, not only at the core layer 0 level, but at the same time on the layer 3s, layer 4s, and a lot of the stuff coming around on Unveil layer and composability around that, right? So how are we actually encouraging internal teams to be more focused on security, especially because all of these AI tools which you guys are coming up with, that actually eases up a lot of the task of the developers, and they're able to build more securely from day 1 or day 0 even. They could focus on security from the day of coding, the first day they start writing their code, right? So I think that's where we can also reduce the cost and also do a constant security auditing thing. But how do you think the importance of internal audits is sort of increasing in this industry?
If I could have this internal audit for their own chain or smart contracts, like.
Yeah, so for anybody who's, let's say, building a team, building a dApp, their internal team also needs to be, concentrated on security from day 0.
Yeah, I think, what we have seen, at least in this industry, again, talking to the last lecture, right? Most of the companies or founders are hiding, just freelancers to just close the product, and that guy don't know how to write the secure smart contracts, and that's why you can use like any tool to get the 80-90% of in-95 accuracy, and these tools are helping them. So what we like, there is one industry case, I was talking to last panel also with Mudit and everyone in Dubai. So we have seen one use case where developer was a hacker, and how we was doing it initially back in 2018-19. We were not like using the import of OpenJet and everything. We have different libraries. What this guy was doing as a hacker, as a developer, he just changed some thing in the transfer function. And after audit, he was doing the change, and he was deploying the smart contracts and getting the ownership of the stuff, right? And then we did the kind of due diligence, and we figured out that guy played with around 15-20 projects, and he made lots of money, right? So as we see it, don't trust anything you get in your developers. So always suggest to hire developer that understands security, right? And don't try to hire any freelancers just to build the product. And how we are making sure with any company we are working with, the developer at least sold at least the 90% or 90% or 95% the basic vulnerability using any tool out there in the market. Like before we onboard any client, we have the guidelines. This is you can write the secure smart contracts, and this is the tool you can use to get the first order report. But after that, as an auditor, we can focus on the more things. Like we can focus on more fuzzing testing, the more deep tech and everything, right? So whenever we connect with anyone and we say that please set this developer, and this contract should be, I think, is already by sir. And as a protocol, how they're doing it, I don't know how they're taking short in their doing it. But as an auditing company, we keep pushing the blog. I think every company is pushing the blogs, how to write things and how to build a secure infra. But again, if you are building a protocol, the one thing that we always suggest, about so many founders, hire a guy that understands the security, right? And a single bug can do millions of billions of dollars of instant acts, right? We keep talking, the code is the money, now the money is locked in the smart contracts, right? That's it.
Yeah, rightly said by Preetham. So I just wanted to continue on his topic. So, it is a known fact that, it's like companies are in a rush for development and get quicker audits, and they're not focusing on the other aspects of security. But there is also, if we try to understand why is it happening, why, the developers are writing poor codes, why, it's like they are not taking care of security. Problem here is, the problem, the core, problem lies here is the lack of, availability of developers as well as security auditors. Okay, so this problem eventually gets solved as the market matures. The same thing was there in Web2 as well in the early stages when the tiny concept of Web2 was coming into picture, when people were building dynamic apps used to put beautiful things rather than just having a static landing page. But then there was a huge demand for developers, and then security comes very later on because it's a very subset skill and it's a very difficult skill to acquire. So eventually what happens is, right now why teams don't have an internal auditing, guys. The problem that is the guns are not available. That's the biggest problem. So if you talk about Web2 companies as well, right now it's Zomato, Uber. Even it's like if you talk about the Uber subsection, Uber India has their own security team. They write security articles because they have their own security team. But way back in 2013, only Google and Facebook used to have security engineers because they were the one who could afford them because they were very scarce. So eventually what will happen is, it's also not very, right to expect a developer to understand security. Of course, he or she should. But if you understand their mindset, they are always on a constant pressure of delivery and logic, of business logic. They are not thinking towards breaking a logic. And maybe a hacker myself, maybe I'm not a very good developer like my developer friends, but I'm very good with the mindset, like how I can find a flaw in this. And these are two very different mindsets which cannot run in parallel. So this is the reason, why Web3 is like that. And eventually with the maturity of the market, things will even out. And if you talk about how security should be, what common things what I've seen with our clients as well is like, and you try to convince them that you should do people other aspects as well, because rightly when Preetam said the numbers are like last year $1.7 million was lost in blockchain related hacks. And exactly like 53% of was technical security vulnerabilities, and the rest 45% were rug pulls or scams or maybe private key compromise. Private key compromise was one of the most common one in that 45%. And why this is happening is because the companies are so focused on securing their smart contracts, they forget about others' aspects as well. And this is one of the reasons is because the compliance is still not in place. In Web2 companies, it is mandatory for them to, for banks, it's mandatory for them to have a red teaming activity. That where like a security company will launch a social engineering attack, try to compromise a user or their developer or something like that. These things are still not happening at Web3 at all. So maybe like you have a breakthrough smart contract. But I remember one of the hack of last year. What happened was a hacker probably found a Cloudflare API key committed in their public GitHub repository. So he or she, whoever the hacker was, they don't have any flaw in the smart contract. But what they did was they changed the DNS using the Cloudflare API key and used their own similar front end, but it was interacting with another smart contract which was owned by the hacker, and that's why I think it was Third, I guess. So they managed to to not millions of dollars, and the only reason is because the entire company was focused on just getting the smart contract audited. But then the Web2 component, the mobile application, most of the many of the companies what we see, they're not just smart contract. They are they have the Web 2.5, what we say, Web 2.5 front end. So those security also required security of employees, what type of softwares they are installing, are they using cracked softwares, do they have antivirus installed in them, if they are freelancers, are they doing, do you have their IDs or everything, or are they trusted people or not? If they have a history of, when you onboard, employees in Web2 companies, we do a background check that never happens in Web2. As the reason, why there is initial 45% of hacks which is happening, because these things are still not in place.
Pretty much, I think that really sums up a lot of the topics here today. But I'll quickly sum up with one last question. This is all around compliance, especially in this industry, which he picked up pretty well. That we do not have standards. We used to have a lot of standards in Web2, which were, the NIST launched so many standards in Web2, and then we have all of these ISO standards as well, which all of these companies need to do. But so what's the usual worldview on the fraud, scams, and that sector in Web3? There's this, I was recently seeing that there was this hack on Hedgy Finance recently, a couple of days back, a $45 million attack, and then Hedgy just posted it on Twitter that we have got this hack. We're trying to reinstate all the users' funds. And then there was this random scam account in Twitter which just posted that, hey, if you want to get all your money back, click on this link. And that was also the similar Hedgy Finance link, but that did not have a blue tick on that. And then people lost also money on that, right? So a lot of scams are happening in that front. And at the same time, there's a lot of AML activities going around, especially around all the money laundering stuff, which of course, Chainalysis is doing quite a lot of work around that in the US. So what's the worldview on the compliance and this money laundering part and the governance dealing part directly, where we are actually dealing with the real world governments?
I think the right person to answer this question is Chainalysis, but let me add my thought. Right, I was checking one interesting project in India, in one state in Uttarakhand. Right, there was one project, ISO project, and they were running some kind of MLM, like multi-level marketing, and that project, I think, did stem around $1 billion inside the police officers, right? And these officers don't understand what they're investing, what they're doing, how we can extract from a normal user, anything like that. And Alan talking about the reference. So I was in meeting with the cybercrime team in Delhi, right? And one of the officers was showing me the FIR, and the amount was around $500,000. That Indian guy, property guy, just made money by investing in the Gurgaon properties, and he's just lost in one DeFi product, right? And the I was just giving the sessions to those psychiatrists, like police officers or chain analysts, anyone. These time don't understand like how the address looks like, how I can check that score, what I can do, anything. These days don't know about anything, right? But I think the chain analysis is doing very, very great work, and we need to build. I think the Prime Minister of India, I think the G20 had a great discussion, like how we can build a kind of for the Web3, kind of a global framework. The global kind of legal system, if anything is going on, how we can track and trace. Because currently everything is anonymous in Web3, right? You can't do anything. And I think, and the very great example of the US government did is, the government actually broke the smart contract of a mixer, right? The mixer was sending all the money to the, North Korean government, like, and it was around some $1 billion. And North Korean GDP is around maybe like 10x of that $1 billion amount, right? So it was a huge money, right? But I think there is no standard, there is no compliance around it. But as a founder, I always suggest you're building anything in the Web3, always suggest to a legal team where you should build, where you should roll the product. In the end, the SEC will come, either you are a or either you're Binance. They are going to come and maybe they're just trying to make money, but in the end, guys are going to come. And again, I'm talking about the audit companies. I'm not sure like all auditing companies follow the same process to find the vulnerability. Like we have the SWC framework, but still it's not yet matured. Like we have seen that framework, like all auditing companies should be following this. If they're not following, there is no like kind of a framework around it. But I think there's lots of things to do around it. We are still at a very, very early stage.
Yeah, Preetham, you're very right about that. So if we talk about, like Web 2, like compliance, there are tons of compliance for everything from payments to, like having, like SOC 2 and solving ISO's compliance and so many stuff. We, in Web 3, we don't even have security standards like, rightly said, like NIST is there, OWASP is there. They have been, like categorizing vulnerabilities, and it's, it's like its impact over 3 years period or something like that. Like OWASP top 10 is being registered, like what are the top 10 vulnerabilities which affected that 3 years of time period. We don't still have that.
Just to add, I do also is building for the Web3. Did this started from the last word?
Yes, they have started that. So I was coming to that. So the only standard which was there was SWC registry, which you said. And I was like, even we as a company running past 2 years, like when we were building detectors for the tools to automate, we started using SWC as a reference. And they had like, I think they had like 30, 35, I guess, not more than that. And after creating detectors and then doing additional research in past 2 years, we have done almost like 200 plus logs on postmortems of hearts which had happened, which is something which we use as an internal research to build more detectors. And what we realized, like we ourselves within 2 years has surpassed their entire list because we think that that list is not complete and it's still not updated. And they have publicly mentioned that they are not updating it anymore. And now OWASP have, it's like they have started doing it. So yes, I mean, it's like it is lacking way behind, but things are slowly happening. The problem why it didn't have was because a lot of people didn't believe that, it's like Web 3 would be something, it's like Web 3 would be a successor of Web 2. And now that is happening, it's like regulations will come in, it's like if you see in Dubai itself, I heard about, MICA, I think MIC or something like that, where these are two pains I've heard, like they are working on, like regulatories and compliance. But again, still more towards, like anti-money laundering side, not towards the tech side, like when, like GDPR came into picture for Web 2. What they did in 2017 was, there were just two rules. The GDPR was more about compliance of all other stuffs, but there were two rules related to security which changed the entire cybersecurity industry. One was that if you don't report a breach within 72 hours, you get a fine up to $20 million or 4% of your company's, gains or something like that. So the companies don't have an option now. Like, if they don't report it, they're gonna get fined. And if they report it, they're gonna get a bad name. So, and that forced them to go for audits. And there was also another rule that all critical and high vulnerabilities should be fixed with an audit report. And when these regulations came in, it's like I was working for Cobalt as a pen tester at that time, and then it was like their business boomed because the entire European companies wanted to get an audit done, and they were serious about it. And similar to that, it's like some regulations will come in, and pretty sure I think Europe is the first one on this coming. Maybe Dubai will beat them or something like that. But let's see how it happens. But yes, regulations should come in to make this more clean and neater. And it's like one of the MLM scams. I resonated with that because we did an audit for a company who were MLMs. As an auditing company, we don't have much of say like what kind of things you are doing. Our work is to audit the code, and it's like 7 or 10 days later, they say that it's like someone took away 100K USC from the account. I did an investigation, and then I actually showed them mapping the addresses. It's like the beauty of blockchain is that you can map all the addresses where it goes. So I created a pictorial graph, and then and then started mapping it. And when I realized that this one, it seems very similar. I was showing him, and the guy told me that this is one of our developers, and he realized that it was an inside job. These things happen, and until this compliance comes into picture, malicious activities will happen, and so you just have to wait for the compliance check come in. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just quickly end this. Any parting thoughts on what is your vision regarding the security industry and where it is heading? And are we seeing a more secure future this bull run?
I think whenever there is bull run, more hacks are there, right? Because more guys wants to make money, right? But our job is how we can secure it, and only smart contract is not one part. As a company, currently we focusing on smart contract and the chain security also, work with Zeta chain, Typo chains, wallet, what you want, how we can work on one thing, smart contract, chain, wallet, and the node security. Slowly we're building expertise around that so that we can secure full ecosystem, and that's what we're doing.
Yes, see, with bull run comes some money, and with money, money always brings in good things as well as bad things. So, but then I think, for security industry, it's more important that, the awareness is important. Security has a very great rate towards awareness, as if there is enough awareness, things will be more secure, and that's how it works. And that's why the research which we do for our detectors, post models which we do, and the knowledge that we gain from for our detectors, we put a blog for that. And I sometimes, if I find time, I speak with students who are, who are interested in blockchain security, and tell them ins and outs about blockchain security. And I think, yes, definitely with the money coming in, there will be more hacks, and but that is something that can be tackled with more people coming into security. More enthusiasts, college kids who are who want to learn more to be a white hat rather than a black hat. We encourage them, we reward them, and bring them into this place so that the entire ecosystem is much more safer than now.
Yeah, I think that's a wrap. Security is always a necessity, not an option. So happy to cover this panel with two of the most experienced people in the industry. I've been following them from quite some time. I was back in college. But yeah, thanks Dojima for also giving this opportunity, and all of us are looking forward to securing the Omnichain ecosystem to a much greater level in this bull run and the coming bull run.